How's it going, everybody? So the last time we left off with this vehicle, which is the Z right behind me, we had just cut out a majority of the rear trunk and installed the fuel cell. So today I'm going to go ahead and go over what we do when we start to plan a tubular structure that we're going to add to the car, like a tube front or a tube rear. And we're going to go ahead and go over the mounting points, where we're going to land the pipes, and then the reasoning behind the cuts that we made on this chassis. Let's go over the cuts that we made in this chassis so far. So I do know that Carbon Craft makes some really nice over fenders for these 370Zs. So we went ahead and clearanced about 1.5 inches all the way around the entire fender well and cut all of that material out. Since it's going to be all covered up by a fiberglass over fender, we don't need it. The reasoning behind keeping this little tab that sticks out is because the bumper actually wraps around and mounts to this tab right here. So what I like to do is keep as many OEM mounts as possible when I do a tubular structure on a chassis like this. The main reason behind that is because it saves me time as a fabricator to have to make little mounts and tabs and measure all these little things to mount these things, like a bumper, tail lights, latch for the rear trunk, or for the rear hatch in this case. It takes time to do all that stuff. So if we can retain as much of the factory mounting points as possible, the bare minimum that it's going to be to actually get the item fixed to the chassis, then that's going to save us work in the long run. The other reason that I made these cuts in the rear is because we're going to have a rear mount radiator. So we're going to need to have ample air to be able to flow out of the radiator through the fans out the back. The other thing to consider here is that the subframe is actually out of the vehicle, so we're going to want to make sure that we do our cuts on the chassis according to the rulebook. Now, according to the FD rulebook, I can't cut in between the rearmost and the forwardmost suspension mounting points. For us here, that's going to be the rear subframe mounting points right here. Now that we have all the material cut out here and it's been cleaned up, it's been squared up, so that we can get everything that's going to mount to this nice and square, we're going to go ahead and cap these frames, or these frame ends, and I already made the plates for them. But basically, you can make a cardboard template to help you get them to, fit perfectly. And we're basically going to put these right on the end of the frame. You can see that down there, that's where that one goes. And we're going to weld it all the way around. All right, so we have our two plates cut out. I use 1/8 inch cold rolled steel here. And we're gonna go ahead and get those welded in place. So enjoy the time lapse. Cleaned them up already. Time to burn them in. Alright guys, so pardon the mess again. We left off with putting the caps on the frame rails. Next thing we needed to do was make the base mounting structure that our tube rear is going to attach to. So since we removed all of this weight from the rear from cutting everything out here, we don't want to put all that weight back in, but if we do have to put weight back in for an incredibly rigid structural component like this frame tie right here, one of the tricks we do is that instead of using rectangle tube, you'll see that we actually stack two pieces of square tubing together that gives extra reinforcement and also added weight that we get to place exactly where we want it to be, which for us is going to be super low in the chassis and as close to the rear axles as possible in the back. So this little bar here weighs, I would guess, 30 pounds. And that's 30 pounds of ballast, so to speak, that we have centered and moved as close to the rear end as possible, which is incredibly important for maximizing how the distribution of weight is in this vehicle. So one other thing to note is that you'll see the radiator is in place. It's not particularly mounted, and this isn't as far back as it's gonna sit. I think we're actually gonna have it sit a little bit further forward. But the main thing here is that we're gonna make some tie-ins from the shock towers down, and it's actually gonna tie in about right here, which is where the bash bar structure is gonna bolt to. What we need to make sure is that we'll have enough room to fit the radiator in when we actually put this structure in place. So that's why I want to get it centered up and make sure that we're going to be able to land those tubes, which are going to come straight off of the shock tower out and then bend at a 90 degree. We'll clock it a little bit and it should land it perfectly right in the center of these braces. Now, the purpose of that tube structure going from the shock tower to the rear brace is we're trying to stiffen up the shock tower in 360 dimensions here. You can see the cage actually ties in. We have a tie-in right here that goes down into the fuel cage, into the fuel cell cage. And then we also want to have the tie-in in the back to come down to the rear brace. That way we're supporting the shock towers on all sides so that any force that's going to be applied to those shock towers isn't going to let them move, and it's going to retain a lot of chassis rigidity. One of the other things that I'm going to end up doing is, you'll see that top hat right there, that's factory stamped and just kind of spot welded in, and the studs that go through there are what mount the coilover to it. So we're going to go ahead and actually weld that entire plate into the shock tower as well, just to get some extra structure into our suspension pickup points. Alrighty, so we got the patches welded in, or the attachment points that the tube rear is going to have to the chassis up in the shock tower. We got those welded in. So the next thing that we did, and I didn't show this in real time, but I used my cheater bar, which is a 60-degree bent piece of DOM with a slot cut at the 0 degree mark, which for me is the face of my JD squared die. I think it's a Model 3 that I use. What we're doing right now is we are going to figure out the angle and roughly figure out the angle, and we're going to roughly figure out where the start of the bend is, because there's only going to be one bend in the tube rear here on either side, to kind of swoop it down from the shock tower down to the attachment point, which will be about right there. Most likely I'm going to make a plate that ties it into the floor right here. That way the pipe has a nice spot to land. So what's going to happen is I basically look straight down and I line this up to where I want it to land, which is right smack dab in the middle there. And then I look up and I try and line this up as best as I can. And I kind of figure how I want this bend to sit and lay in there. And we're looking for something kind of like that. So it kind of swoops down, follows the body line a little bit, tucks into the chassis, probably end up angling it out here so it follows the sill, and then is going to land straight down on top of that piece. So something about just like that, okay? Next thing I do is I'll take a tape measure and I'll measure from the face of that tie-in to the shock tower to that little slit which marks the start of the bend, okay? I already did that, so it was about 6 inches. I added a 1/2 of an inch just so that I can bevel the end so it makes a nice clean flush sit onto that tie-in right there. And then what I did was, in the same position, I measured from the bottom of the tube to where I want it to land on the rear frame tie right there. So the total length of this tube with some extra, just so we can trim some off, ended up being 26 inches, and I wanted the bend to start at 6 inches from the end. Okay, and just one bend, so we don't really have to take a whole lot of measurements here. The other thing is that this is a 60-degree bend. Now, if I were to sit this flush, we can see that it clearly overshoots the frame tie-in. if I were to angle it a little bit and kind of play with it, we might get it to sit pretty decent, right? So I know that 60 degrees is probably a little bit too conservative of a bend for this. However, you can always bend something a little bit more, but it is very hard to bend it a little bit less. So our finished product here is a piece of DOM bent at 60 degrees starting from 6 inches from the end. All right, so to start, the bevels that we're going to need to get this tube to land on the frame tie and the mounting pad that mounts to the shock tower. First thing we're going to do is we're going to center the tube on the frame tie down here. We're going to figure out exactly where we want it, and we're going to lay it back so that the end is just past the tie into the shock tower right here. You're just going to kind of eyeball it, and you're going to want to line it up with how you want it. So for me, I want it to line up with the sill of the rear hatch, and that's going to kind of give us the rotation that we're going to have. So you can see tube is lined up with the rear sill. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the tube is going to land where we want it to land on the frame tie-in. Now, the next part is what's called an apex mark. So when we bevel this, the longest side of this bevel is called the apex, and we're going to look down and see where the tube actually touches the frame tie, and then mark exactly 180 degrees across from that mark. That's how we know the apex is going to line up accordingly, and it's going to lay nice and flat on that frame tie-in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set our depth, because we measured this for our stock piece. So we want the center of the tube to land in the center of the tie-in to the shock tower here. So we're just going to kind of line it up and then look, and we're at about 3 inches down to line the center of the tube to the center of this frame, or of the shock tower tie-in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate the tube 180 degrees from the apex, mark our 3 inches down, because that's the lowest point that this tube is going to sit on the flat bevel. And then we're also going to put a line, we're going to scribe that line all the way across and put another line in line with our apex, and we'll line that up with a bandsaw. Once we got the bottom part beveled that ties into the frame tie-in, we're going to do the exact same process to the top here to tie it into the shock tower. All we do again is we'll make sure that the frame tie-in is square, make sure that our angle is correct with the sill, and then look down, mark our apex. And then the other thing we're going to do, because this tube isn't going to need to be cut shorter, we're going to measure the angle that this needs to be beveled at. So before, all we had to do was just set the tube on the frame tie-in, measure the angle. This time we have to calibrate to match the angle of the mounting plate, set our piece up, make sure that our apex is marked, and then we grab the angle that this sits at, and that's going to be the angle. 90 degrees minus this angle is going to be the angle of this bevel. And then all we have to do is just line up our apex with the rotation on the bandsaw, and get it all done. All right, so we got our cuts made, and would you look at that? Perfect for TIG welding. We'll have to kind of position it a little bit better, but that's what the result is after doing those pretty simple measurements and just using a bandsaw. Just finished up welding the braces from the shock tower down to the frame tie-in. So the tube rear main structure is completely done now. Everything back here will just be little brackets and tabs that mount off of this main structure here. Made sure that we made room to clear for the radiator to sit in. So it should sit in really nice and tuck in there. Got plenty of room on either side. And then we'll also have the fan mount come off the back here. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a separate mount for the fan. I had done that on Austin's car, so the radiator core could just slide out and we could leave the fans in. I think this one might be all in one unit. But yeah, basically everything in the back here is all going to be just mounting fire suppression, mounting the expansion tanks, mounting the swirl pot, all that sort of stuff, the water pump, you know, all that's gonna mount off this main structure. Kept it kind of swooping in so that we could try and keep some of that little weight as close to the center as possible. And I'll go over, when I get to the point of mounting all that stuff, I'll go over where we decide to mount it. And I'll go over some of the neat things that I learned over talking with some people that actually do this as a profession, how to make expansion tanks, swirl pots that are really efficient, self-bleeding, and that's gonna make for a really good cooling system. So this is kind of where we left off right now. And we'll be back with, I think next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount the radiator in there, and we'll make the detachable, disposable rear bash bars. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.